Welcome. Good morning. This is the Vashon Island Unitarian Universalists. My name is Sylvia Paja. I'm your service leader today. And if you are visiting, please participate as you are comfortable. You're invited to stay and introduce yourself after the service when we have conversation and coffee. Our congregation is committed to individual freedom of belief, welcomes diversity, seeks to promote a sense of community, and fosters religion which enriches the spirit. We are mostly led, community strengthened, enriched by moving together volunteer contributions of members and friends. Our community is supported and guided by our Minister Reverend Victoria Poling, and she comes in the first weekend of every month. As we begin our service, please take several deep, slow breaths to become fully present. Relax and bring your attention to this moment of communal reflection and sharing. We acknowledge the war on the traditional homelands of the Squamish Coast Salish Native people. The Puyallup people have lived on and stewarded these lands since the beginning of time, and continue to do so today. We recognize that this land acknowledgement is but one small step toward true allyship, and we commit to uplifting the voices, experiences, and histories of the Indigenous people of this land and beyond. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you arrived here, you belong here. So today's speaker is Carrie Peterson. She began practicing insight meditation Vipassana in 1998. After studying with a variety of teachers in Laos, Thailand, and India, she was invited to teach in 2007. Carrie completed a 4-year retreat teacher training at the Insight Meditation Society in Massachusetts, thank you, and Spirit Rock in Northern California, and now teaches regularly at the Seattle Insight, Vashon Insight, and the Cloud Mountain Retreat Center. She has spent more than 20 years working in medical settings, in elder care, and lives on Vashon with her husband Corin, son Jasper, and puppy Douglas. I'm going to write, I like the chalice with words like Thich Nhat Hanh. We are here to awaken from the illusion of our separateness. So Carrie's going to lead us in a meditation, so listen.
Hi everyone, thank you for the very warm welcome. I feel very honored to be spending this time with you this morning. So we'll just start with a few minutes, and I'll just invite you into a few minute meditation. So your eyes may be open or closed, whatever's most comfortable for you. But just inviting you into a heightened awareness of your body, your being in this present moment, however it is, however you are this morning. So you might notice the connection that your feet have to the ground underneath you, the weight of your body as it connects with the chair or the couch, the feeling of gravity in your body connecting you with the earth. Earth element in your body resting on earth element beneath you. So nothing you need to do to deserve or earn that. The body naturally is supported by that steadiness, firmness, weight. You might notice the uprightness in your posture that oftentimes when we tune into it, it's a feeling of natural dignity, willingness to be here, inhabiting ourselves in this moment. Extending out, we might notice the space around our bodies. Perhaps the warmth, connectedness, friendship of others in the room around us. Or we can open up to space, to silence, to friendship. And in doing so, we breathe a little easier. So you can allow yourself for a moment or two just to be the grateful recipient of these elements. Firmness of the earth, ground, openness of space around us, friendship, and the marvelous receiving of that dynamic force of breath coming in and going out. So the relief, not having to do or make or manufacture or defend, just receiving dynamic process of breathing, central to all of our lives. Being breathed together, moment by moment.
The words are by Walter Emerson. Our life is an apprenticeship to the truth that around every circle or other can be drawn, that there is no end in nature, but every end is a beginning. And under every deep, another deep opens.
It's really hard to play a song after almost falling asleep. That was a wonderful meditation. Thank you so much. No, it was great. It was awesome. And now it's time to sing. If you know this song, it's a James Taylor song about the people side of connectedness, called "Shower the People You Love with Love." If you know the chorus, please, I invite you to sing along. You can play, but you know that. She made
Thank you, Mark. Appreciated that. Images of listening to James Taylor with my dad in our camper, driving down the road, listening to an 8-track of James Taylor. So that was a delightful stream going through my heart-mind. Thank you for that. Yeah. So thank you again for the warm welcome. I'm really honored to be invited and to be here with you all this morning. I have to confess, as I start, I've never given a sermon before. And if I were to take that too seriously, there's a lot of nervousness that would arise in having to give a sermon. I've given hundreds of talks, and we do a lot of sharing of reflections in my tradition, but what I get from you all so far in my wonderful interactions with you is that you hold this in much the same spirit, which is that when I speak, we participate in something together, right, that is shared. So not telling you anything you need to know or should know, but hopefully reminding all of us of something we already know, but easily forget in the speed and the momentum and the busyness of everyday life. So this can be our first big reflection on interdependence together. Is in this format, we are participating in something, not as solid, discrete, independent entities, right? But as mutual participators in a process, right? In a dynamic living process. So as I speak, I'm not speaking to you, but all of the understanding and learning and the care and attention that I have received and absorbed from my teachers, my relatives, my family, streams through into this moment, right? In the way that I hold my body, in the thoughts that come through my mind, my vocal cords as they dance and vibrate, then sound emerging from that vibration, the bones in your ears vibrating in this moment with that sound, the resonance that then arises in your heart, whatever that looks like, whatever way that is activated or not, and maybe you smile or receive or respond in some way. That in turn affects me. And we are in this miraculous dance together, moment by moment by moment. Sensitive, aware that we are alive in this moment together. Sensitive, being affected, and also responding to each other moment by moment. So as I'm speaking, all that is happening, and hopefully we are participating in and creating something that moves in a helpful direction together. Right? So I'd like to offer, just by way of reflection, a few images that for me have been really helpful in this teaching on interdependence. And the Buddha was very fond of of offering images and similes and metaphors. These are kind of ancient in a way, and each one of us can respond in our own unique way. I notice that for me, oftentimes images stay longer in my mind than descriptions or words. So I'd like to offer you 3 images, right, for your own reflection and contemplation that for me have been helpful in this, around this theme of interdependence. So the first image comes from the Buddhist tradition, but it's also reflected in every other wisdom tradition, and that is of a monastic, right? Somebody who is committed to going against the stream of the dominant kind of consumer culture of bigger, better, more, faster, and is dedicated to a life of radical simplicity, but also the Buddha, I think, envisioned this as also encouraging a certain way of relating wisely. So the monastics were meant to be engaged in a kind of symbiotic relationship with the lay communities around them. So even though they've given up this kind of radical letting go of the direction that many other people were going, they're meant to be in this direct experience of mutuality with the communities around that supported them, that still support them. So the early Buddhist tradition, which is kind of the stream that I have inherited, migrated from India through Southeast Asia, so Thailand, Burma, Cambodia, Sri Lanka. And those monastics, they're not able to earn money, handle money, provide for themselves, buy clothing. They're completely dependent on the generosity of people in the communities around them. So this way of being was meant to encourage that kind of symbiotic relationship and interdependence. that isn't like a childlike dependence, but is a deep acknowledgement of that mutuality. So this was meant to set up like wise relatedness within communities. So it's meant to encourage, and practicing in some of these communities, it's palpable, the generosity and kindness and goodwill that comes forward as people want to support those who are dedicated to practicing and living these values in a direct way. So we need role models. We need images of people who inspire us to live our values. But we also need this kind of web of wise relationship and wise kind of mutuality. So this is a way of really affirming and noticing how we belong to each other. We can kind of know that intellectually, but in this relationship, if the generosity of the surrounding community were not there, these monastics or renunciates would not eat. They would not get their daily requisites. So this stream, which works often much better in Asian cultures, has continued to stream through Western societies. So came through England, kind of sprouted here in the West. So we have monastics living out on the peninsula, coming into Pike Place Market for alms food every day. We have nuns who are setting up residence in Port Townsend and in Olympia, setting up communities. So just to say that this model is kind of alive and well, and yet most of us are not called to be monastics, right? We're called to be in this world, but with that same spirit of acknowledging our deep mutuality and dependence on each other. So the Buddha famously, before he taught anything about how to meditate, what to do, before he offered a technique, he said, establish right relationship with those around you. Pay attention to these qualities of generosity, goodwill, kindness in your communities. Establish that. So we know now that it's as though we have kind of one big nervous system, right? Among us, we have our own individual nervous systems with those functionings, and we're intimately connected with all other nervous systems around us. So to relate wisely to some degree of necessity before we can really deeply examine kind of the workings of our mind and heart in a helpful way. So just having spent a little bit of time with you all, I feel like you have this wise relatedness quality flourishing and thriving. It's very warm and apparent on the surface. But sometimes, especially as Buddhists, need a little reminding that before we undertake any practice as a kind of self-improvement project, or decide there's anything about us that we need to fix or change, anything about others that we need to fix or change or make right, before we do any of that, can we attune ourselves to this mutuality or wise relatedness, the ways in which we belong to each other. So many meditation masters have been asked, especially ones in different cultures, how should Westerners practice? Us with this living in cultures of isolation and often individualism, rugged independence, and often with great wounds of isolation and loneliness. How should we practice self-hatred? And many of them answered, need to be taken out into nature often in order, so one Thai meditation master by the name of Ajahn Buddhadasa said, Westerners should be taken out, if they're able to, into nature, into mountains, forests, streams, until they can feel their belonging again. Yeah, their whole practice, their whole spiritual journey should be infused with this tone of loving kindness, which is a part of our shared humanity. So whether we cultivate that in community, in nature, this is vital. And we need reminding, even those of us who know this deeply. We have a pandemic of isolation and loneliness. So the Surgeon General, Vivek Murthy, says we have a pandemic of isolation and loneliness. People who have forgotten their deep, deep belonging. These are deep, deep wounds of isolation, and a lot of our destructiveness, inwardly and outwardly, comes about from that forgetting, right? From that forgetting. So Thich Nhat Hanh, who we're very familiar with, wrote this wonderful, this was in response to the Vietnam War, and this blessing or reminder, to those of us who know but can forget. It's called For Warmth. It says, I hold my face in my two hands. I hold my face in my two hands. No, I am not crying. I hold my face in my two hands to keep the loneliness warm. Two hands protecting, two hands nourishing, two hands preventing my soul from leaving me in anger. Mm-hmm. So we need reminding again and again and again. So the next image I'd like to offer is a series of images, and this comes up as part of the Diamond Sutra, which is a text from Mahayana Buddhism, the later stream. And in this text, it said, we're invited to consider that everything in this conditioned world is like a lightning flash, a cloud, a dewdrop, a bubble. This is how all conditioned things can be seen. Yeah. This means that as we really start to contemplate and investigate, we can see everything that exists not as a separate, isolated, independent entity, but it exists dependent on the conditions that are around it. So for that drop of dew, when the temperature, the dampness, the light, the heat come together in a certain way, there's that drop of dew on the grass in the morning. When the conditions shift and change a little bit, that drop of dew evaporates. Okay? So we're meant to consider, we're invited to consider that everything is of this nature, dependent on the conditions around it. So my son, who's 10 now, when he was, I think, between 2 and 3, became really excited about rainbows, like discovered rainbows for the first time. Rainbows have the same nature, dewdrop, cloud, lightning flash, bubble. So got very excited about them. And one day I found him huddled behind the refrigerator, staring out the window. And I was like, Joshua, what are you doing? And in his mind, because one day he had been next to the refrigerator, huddled and looked out the window and saw a rainbow, he had decided that he had created that rainbow, that he had caused it. And so he was huddled there, looking, thinking that if he did that, then the rainbow would reappear. Right? So it's said that the wisdom traditions point to us again and again that we suffer and struggle, not because there's some fatal character flaw at our core or some grave error, but because we misperceive the nature of things and our place within it. Yeah. So we are not at the center. We are not at the center. And the more we're able to shine light of compassionate awareness, understanding on our actual experience, the more it has this shimmering, dynamic, fluid, interdependent quality to it. Yeah? So we can't pick anything out of that and say that it's fixed and solid and separate. It is not the way things actually are. Yeah? So this is meant not to bring forth a kind of detached aloofness. Yeah, okay, everything's flickering, everything's changing, it's all impermanent. It's not meant to engender a resignation, but actually a deep, deep care and connectedness. Yeah. So every moment we're perceiving life in response to what comes in through our senses at any moment. So this is an invitation for you to contemplate, and you can do that in this moment as I'm speaking. So hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, feeling, every moment we're interacting with the world through these senses. And in the Buddhist understanding, the sixth sense is the mind. So thoughts arise in the mind, much in the same way a sound arises in our sense of hearing, right? So we don't know which thought we're going to think next. We don't know exactly which sound is going to arise next, but we can be there for it and notice what happens next, right? So this is how we interact with the world, vibrant, alive, dynamic. In that moment, there is just pure experience, hearing the sound, feeling the flesh in the body, seeing a friend, remembering a memory. And from that, a whole story comes into being. Right? Can you feel that? A whole story. A story of me and you and this and that, and what they did, and what I did. And rather than a world of do, flashing forward and evaporating, we get a world of centrifugal spinning, right? What I should do, what they should do, what should have happened, what I really wanted to have happened, what I don't like, what I do like, how I think it should be, how I think you should be, how do you think I should be, right? A world of centrifugal spinning around that misperception, right? So dependent on contact and perception and the tone of experience, a certain relationship and movement starts to arise. Yeah? So we see the world not as it is, but as we are, yeah? As our minds are. Have you noticed this? Yeah? So when there's wanting in the mind, a lot of wanting, we'll find things to want. We look out and find things to want. So maybe you've noticed this. So opening the refrigerator or scrolling online, opening a magazine, there's wanting, and we're wanting to find things to want. Yes. So we experience this all the time in mundane and profound ways. So with our minds, we create the world, and we create the world with ourselves at the center. And this can set up misperception. At the same time, with a mind of love, of openness, of care, we experience ourselves as less solid, less fixed, and we set something very different in motion. So one of my teachers, Gregory Kramer, says the gravity that collapses our star is the sad habit of smallness and separation. Yeah? The sad habit, perceptual error of smallness and separation. So when we shine the light of it, of awareness and love on it, we see it as just a habit. Yeah? A lot of momentum, but with no inherent fixed reality. So that leads to a great freedom and a sense of radical possibility. We are not just destined to inherit and carry out the streams of conditioning that we've inherited. Yeah? We can see, this is what's arising in this moment. This is how I'm relating to it. And this is the possibility for the future. Yeah? Right, so we can sense, is this going in a helpful direction? Yeah? Is this going in the direction of freedom for myself and others, or is this centrifugal spinning? Feels very different. Yeah? So the last image I want to mention is one you might be familiar with, and that's Indra's net. Yeah, so this is also from the Mahayana tradition. It's from Chinese Buddhism, the Huayan school. And the image is one of God Indra who spreads a vast net over the entire universe. Right? So this is a net that extends in all directions in time and space. And at every point of connection, there is a jewel. And that jewel is like a diamond in that every facet of it reflects everything else in existence, right? So it's a beautiful image, but at every node we are like these nodes at the center, or not at the center, but as parts or points of this vast interrelated, not with inherent independent existence, but constantly reflecting everything that we have received, right? And shining out. So everything becomes a hologram of everything else. Yeah? We look deeply into the atoms of our body, into the molecules, we find space. Yeah? We look up with our most powerful telescopes, we find space. Yeah? So everything reflecting in interplay, dynamic interplay with everything else. So how we respond to that and how we relate to that is everything. So through these nodes, pain and pleasure, praise and blame, fame and disrespect, joy and sorrow, gain and loss, reflecting, refracting through all time. Yeah? Through humanity, through all time. So the peace that the Buddha pointed to is a peace independent of conditions. Yeah. So the sages and saints and practitioners of every wisdom tradition have pointed to that, to a sturdy peace and compassionate presence that is possible even in the most challenging conditions, even in the most beautiful conditions, if we understand or come closer to that vision or that view. So I was going to be so diligent with time. I had even tracked it, and Donna kindly left me her watch here, and I forgot to do this when I started. But I get enthusiastic about these themes, so I'm moving towards a close. So this, I just want to end with this quote. This is from Joan Sutherland, a wonderful teacher in the Zen tradition, who wrote a book called Women's Mystic Zen. She didn't write that book, but she was in a conversation with Paula Arai about these cultures in Japan of women creating their own conditions for practice outside of monastic institutions. So it was a wonderful contemplation. But this is what she says. Peace comes from a deep, heartfelt body sense that we are all integral to this vast, interrelated universe. Not just that we're part of it, but we're integral to it. Without each person, without each thing, without each being, that network would be different. This is vast Indra's net. So healing is to know deeply in your body, mind, heart, that you are integral to that web. That compassionate support is running all the time through that network. You're receiving it for sure, but you're also giving it. So it is this constant circulation, constant exchange of compassionate support. To be embraced is to be healed. That sense of knowing that you are integral to this interrelated net that is the universe. This aspect of healing is also a retraining of yourself to act in harmony with this understanding. This way that things are both interrelated but also impermanent. Healing is a way of holding your heart, mind. It is an art to seek out ways to heal and not to suffer. Okay, so why don't we have a moment of silence together to let those words settle, see how they resonate with you. Thank you so much for your kind attention. I hope some of this has been useful. No need to bow, that's just my conditioning. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that perspective. It's like, so next is the offering. Here it is, joys and concerns. No, yes, joys and concerns. We'll pause the recording. As members and friends of Vashon Island Unitarian University, Universalists, we commit to supporting our congregation. Financial resources help us pay speakers and staff, support our social justice programs, maintain our building. Please support VIU with your pledges and offerings so that we can continue to be a vital community. Our congregation engages beyond our walls for peace, social and economic justice, freedom of belief, and protection of our planet and its inhabitants. Once a month, we contribute the financial offering to a regional, national, or international organization that aligns with our values. This week's offering supports our beloved community. Our greeters now will pass around the offering baskets, and as we receive our offering, please join us in singing "We Give Thanks," which again is on the laminated sheet that we have. And Jeff will read our closing reading.
As the soul is part of me, that I am part of the earth, my feet walk perfectly, and my blood is part of the sea. There is not any part of me that is alone and absolute, except my mind, and we shall find that the mind has no existence by itself. It is only the water of the sun on the surface of the water. That's my body Florence.
There is one breath, there is one life, there is one earth. All is holy, all is sacred, all is one. Those words are from the Sisters of the Earth Holyoke, and I'll extinguish our chalice. So I want to thank Carrie and Mark and Team 4 and Mary for our tech. I forgot to ask you, did anybody want from the chat? Oh, thank you for contributing to today's service. So we're going to have refreshments afterwards. Please join us following any VIU announcements. So come on up if you have an announcement that related to VIU activity. Again, form a line if you want. And anybody have announcements? Hello, my name is Alex Clark, and today is our final fourth Sunday Connecting Views potluck lunch. And actually, since this probably hasn't been announced in the last couple Sundays, I apologize, I was not here and didn't pass on that job. We still have some things to eat, and everybody's welcome to stay to eat, whether you brought something or not. It's lovely just to hang out and talk together. Such a good idea, and yes, we really would like to include Reverend Victoria. So that's in the plan for next service here. Next month, there's actually, that's why this is our last one this month, because next month the board is offering a surprise, and George, who I don't see here, is going to, the other George, not you, George. George Butler is going to cook for everyone, and we are going to have that on the third Sunday after the annual meeting. So great idea to come. So that was another announcement that I hadn't planned to make, but maybe you did, Kim. My second announcement is that following this beautiful talk today, thank you so much, and this amazing congregation of people that just means so much, and the interconnection is just so strong. If you'd like to continue the feeling that you have now, there are those of us, Amy, Jim, and me, who do a oneness center, and we meet every Monday at the Methodist Church from 5 to 6. And it's a wonderful hour, and it's just always different and always beautiful. Those are my announcements.
Hi, I'm Kate, and I will remind you, Victoria, as was just mentioned, will be preaching next Sunday, and we're including in that service a brief new member welcome. We try to do this once or twice a year, and there are several people who have decided that it's time to become official members. So she'll have a short service or ceremony in the middle of her service next week. So those of you who have recently given me a membership form, please try to turn up. And those of you who meant to give me a membership form but haven't quite filled it out yet, I have some spares if you need to fill one out today. So hope to see you all next week, except in truth, I won't be here because I have to be in Seattle. So I apologize in advance, but I'm sure Victoria has it all in hand.
I'm Kirk. I'm standing up here, humbly make a confession. This is recording. Regarding last week's service, we had message rate people, and you guys gave generously. Those who wrote checks, what I did was I used VIO PSCC stamp on them, sent to them. That was a limbo. I farted. Anyway, I checked with the bank, and what I can do is once I get the checks back, and I think there were 7 of them, I'll bring them back to you individually. You can cross them out, put in VIUU with your initials, and then I'll send a check in that amount to them. It's just going to delay the process. Good news is, fix your eyes on the giving tree. We're up to $83,775. Today's technically the official last day. However, there are a couple of prospective pledges. It's still kind of dangling, but great job, guys. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yeah.
just mixed up my salad for the potluck. And there's 2 other big containers out there. If anybody wants to go open up those, we could add them to the snacking part up there. I'm not sure. Would anybody else have something to put up there? Yeah. So the helpers can get everything out and move the tables, and we can have a party. Thank you.
Thanks for all the announcements, and we'll have a last song that Blue Boat Home is 1064 in the T.O. Hymnal. If you want to sing along, or you could just listen to Mark's lovely voice.
I encourage you to sing along.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Enjoy.
Yeah, a little bit.